If you're looking for a video content strategy and you want someone to walk you through step by step exactly what a proven one would look like, one that helps you build a brand in demand and helps you attract your dream customers, this is exactly it. I'm walking you through what I call my V4 video content strategy. There's 5 parts. It's about 26 pages of notes that I've got down here in this document. If you're listening, you can listen. I'm going to cover everything. It's all good. If you're watching on video, I'm going through this document or this PDF right now as I go through this. Here we go. We're going to dive right in. Feel free to save this, share this, get it out there for whoever needs it, okay? The V4 video content strategy goes like this. It starts with the V, which is vision and alignment. I'm going to walk through each one of these buckets one by one in detail. Am I going to be able to cover everything? No, but this is going to give you a solid framework where if you're like, I just need something to go off of, I need a foundation, I need something to build upon, this is going to be it. So the V's for vision and alignment. The number 1, there's 4 numbers after that, 1, 2, 3, 4. The number 1 is for customer insights and ideation. The number 2 is for content mediums and channels. Number 3, creation and distribution process. Number 4, track and optimize performance. Let's get into it, baby. So we start with vision and alignment, okay? Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes that companies make and people make is they just start jumping into content. They put out a bunch of content and then 6 months flies by and they go, I'm putting out content, Alex, but it's not really doing anything for me. It's not winning me customers. It's not helping me become more trusted in my industry. I'm not getting invited to podcasts or events or industry things that are taking place, and you definitely should be. Okay. And the reason that that happens most of the time is sure, it could be not as good as content. It could be, tactical stuff, definitely. But a lot of times there's no vision. There's no why, right? There's no alignment across the organization on what we're trying to accomplish here. So the first step before we start creating content, and I'm all about taking action. I don't want people to sit there for 2 months in strategy, listening to this 25 times and then crippling yourselves with perfectionism, okay? I do believe that you need to go. You need to take action pretty quickly. But it's definitely worth to slow down for a second and just create a solid foundation as to what is the purpose of our content. So that's the first step, right? If you're in a bigger company, even small, medium-sized companies, you've got CEO, VPs, even other contributors, salespeople, marketers, whatever it is, you need to get alignment across that organization so that everyone understands what you're trying to accomplish with the content, all right? What's the real purpose of our content? So this is a question I ask all the time, and I get a lot of different answers, and it's like brand awareness, we're trying to get attention for our business, we're trying to do all these different things. Your vision should be focused less on the what at this point and the how, and more on the who. Who do you want to become, and how do you want to impact your customers and audience through your content, okay? And if you're like, well, what the hell does this really mean, or what would an example look like? Boom, here's an example, all right? So here's something that we could say. We're gonna become the most trusted, credible, and creative video content brand in the industry. We'll answer all customer questions, not just the ones that are convenient for us, right? That's what a lot of companies do. I'll answer this question, but I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about pricing, right? Well, it doesn't matter what you want to talk about. It's what your customers want to know about. So we'll lead the way with a unique perspective on how to do things better and more efficiently. And as we do this, we're going to continue to find new and creative ways to educate and edutain our customers. We basically believe that, yes, we want to be trusted. We want to be the credible go-to video brand in our industry, but we also want to have this unique perspective, which is B2B content should not be boring. You can have fun. You can do edutainment. You can add graphics. You can add skits. You can add just interesting ways to tell a story, right? This should be in your content. So we have a very unique approach. I don't know if any other companies or people that are just like us, right? And so that's kind of how you want to think about your stuff. Obviously, your vision and alignment should be based off your company's brand, what you guys are trying to accomplish, the needs and wants and questions and concerns and challenges that your customers have. But you need to think about what's your unique perspective. How are you different than everyone else in your industry? Because that's the narrative that you're going to bring to the market. If we do this correctly, okay, and consistently, you will 100% attract and convert your dream customers. There's no doubt about it. It's really just a matter of time. The vision and alignment sets the stage for everything to come. So everything we do now, we run through that vision filter. So if you're ever questioning, should I put out content around this? Or should I, be on this platform? Or should I be doing this type of style? All you got to do is go back to that vision now and alignment and say, is this aligned with what we're trying to accomplish? Is this the vision of who we wanted to become as a result of putting out quality content consistently? And it's a pretty easy yes or no. All right. Number one, we move on from V. Now we're moving on to the 4 numbers. The first one is customer insights and ideation. Okay, so these are very, very important to go through. Here are some questions that you must be able to answer to create compelling content that drives business results. We're not creating random content. We're not just finding, silly things to talk about throughout the day. We're being intentional. All right. So here's a few questions to go through. Jot these down if you're in a position where you're not driving or you're not, doing something else. Like I would jot these down. And they're on the screen if you're watching the video too. What are the top 20 questions or challenges your customers have about your industry / subject matter expertise? Write them all down, and then you're going to answer them. Can you answer those questions openly and honestly without necessarily talking about your specific product or service? All right, that's the key. So if someone asks me like, "Hey, how much does it cost to do video content?" Well, I've got a whole video on it, and it's not me going, "Well, this is our pricing, and go to our website, and this is what we offer." And no, it's me breaking down the cost of video content, and you can go 6 to 7 different ways with it. One of them is ours, but you can also go, there's alternatives. And I want to be open and honest about that because that's how we're going to start to build trust with customers because they're searching for the answers to their questions. And if you're the one answering them, well, now it's an easy go-to. You're an easy go-to because you've already built that connection with them. All right. So also when you're thinking about all of these things, it's not just answering the questions that everyone else has the answers to, right? Because your competitors could answer those questions too. But what's your unique point of view? We were talking about that earlier. What's the narrative that you're trying to get your audience to adapt? Like we talked about just a few seconds ago or a couple minutes ago, I said, I'm trying to convince B2B companies that your content can be fun. It can be more engaging. It can be interesting while still answering your customers' questions, going deep, being extremely thoughtful and impactful while adding a ton of value. It just doesn't have to be boring. It can be edutaining, right? So that's kind of the mindset that we're bringing to the marketplace. We believe that video is the best way to build trust with customers at scale. That's a unique perspective that not every marketing company or content company has, okay? I would then go to, you're trying to kind of shift your prospects or your audience or your customers' mindset. You want them to adapt this mindset that you have, right? But then you got to talk about stories and what proof do you have to back up that your unique point of view is valid and that they should adapt it. This is the why. Okay. So if I went out, for example, and start talking about video is so great, it's the best way to build trust with customers at scale, edutainment works so well, and then I had no proof or it didn't really work, then nobody's going to adapt it. Right. So you got to have a little bit of a why and a proof behind it. The second piece to this, which is the next question, is how do you get results for your customers? What are the secrets? How do you get results for yourself if you're doing it? What are the secrets, the behind the scenes, the strategies, the tactics, the techniques, the processes? Can you break these down in a simplistic way that your customers will understand and be able to implement if they choose to adapt that narrative? So think about this, right? Stop for a quick second. You bring this narrative or this story to the marketplace, to your potential customers. They adapt it. They go, yeah, that's a great idea. I think I'll start using video for sure. Then they go out in the marketplace and they start putting out videos. You didn't teach them how to do it the right way, so it doesn't work more than likely. Then they come back at you and go, you told us this video thing works and I don't think it does. Now all of a sudden you're the enemy instead of the guide that's helping them become the hero. So make sure you don't just talk about the why, you talk about the how. Actually help them execute. Give away all of the free value. That's what I'm doing right now. Literally right now I'm doing that. So guys, you got to do it. You can't be afraid. This is an abundant world, I promise you. No one's going to the person in the corner hiding all their secrets. They're going to the person that is giving 24/7 and is trying to make an impact on their customer. All right? What type of language and terminology do your ideal customers use? What type of language and terminology would confuse them? If you confuse them, you lose them, as they say. So don't, on your websites and your social content and your videos, you don't want to be doing all this fancy jargon where after 20 seconds, they're scratching their head going, I don't even know what this person's talking about. Okay? Don't confuse them. Number 2, content mediums and channels. Very, very important. Okay. There's a lot of ways to create and repurpose video content. You can go long form, medium form, short form. And then of course you can do, audio content, pictures, graphics, written text posts. This is why video content is the number 1 medium in the world. You cannot repurpose the same way with text or with just audio. With video, you can break it down into a trillion different pieces of content. Okay. So I'd think about this And then when you start to think about the channels that you could distribute the content on or put your content on, you've got options. These are some of them, right? I would break it down into two separate categories. This is a really big mindset shift that most people don't understand about content because they think, oh, I'm going to create content, I'm going to post it on LinkedIn. I'm going to create content, I'm going to post it on TikTok. But there's two kinds of content, really, okay? And they can intersect for sure. They can combine, right? And they definitely should. The first kind would be more directly answering common questions that your customers have with your unique perspective. Okay, that's, hey, what's the cost of creating video content? Boom. What's a great video content strategy? Boom. Right? Obviously, I'm answering the questions with my own perspective and angle and proof points and that kind of stuff. Okay, that type of video is probably where I would start in most cases because, and that would be medium form in a lot of cases, potentially long form too, meaning it's a few minutes to 10 minutes, 5, 15 minutes, whatever it is. The reason I would start with that is because that type of content is content that you can take offline and you can share it with potential customers or prospects. You're at a trade show, instead of here's my card, you can talk about, hey, I've made 3 videos on the conversation that we just had today about that problem you're trying to solve. You definitely should check it out. They're going to check it out if they're interested. And then guess who they're going to buy from when they're ready? You. That kind of video content you can put on your website. You can house on your YouTube channel, either publicly or privately. There's a ton of applications, but that is very important content. And I think, again, it's very foundational. The second type of content, and again, these two can intersect, and they do, is more feed-based content, right? Now, this could be answering your customers' questions too. It could be, 30-second, 45-second, a minute and a half type clips where maybe it's not a direct question, but you're talking about something that you believe to be true about, related to your industry, or advice, tactics, techniques, whatever it is. Could be an edutainment video, right? Those work really well. A skit video. That's all stuff that's probably going to go in the LinkedIn feeds, the TikTok feeds, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, potentially all these other platforms. So just think about this, right? And think about how you're going to break them down. Do you want to create one of those long form videos that becomes a YouTube video, micro content for TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube Shorts? It goes on the website potentially, newsletter, blog, email. You're able to share these videos, send a link via email. There's all types of different things you can do. So consider where someone can find and consume your content on and off social media. I think people miss that second part, okay? And consider how someone would be able to binge your content. One thing that's not on here is a podcast. I don't know why it's not on here, but podcast should be on there too. Okay? You can start a podcast if you wanted to. It's long form content that you can break down as well if you record it via video. Short form is the gateway to long form. I think if people see your short form content, a lot of times you're building trust, credibility, a little bit of a relationship with them, and then they want to go check you out. You ever done that? You ever seen someone's content or heard about someone, and then boom, what do? You search Google, you search YouTube, you search TikTok, right? LinkedIn, and you're like, who is this person? And what's the other content they put out? And then if they do a podcast like we do, or long form videos on YouTube like we do, typically they'll go through and kind of binge that content, all right? Number 3 is the distribution process. This is very important. It's the least sexy part about this entire strategy, but is very, very important. And I would say it definitely is a very, very strong key component to all of this, okay? Now, you can do this by yourself if you want. Like you can do, if you're a solopreneur, a small company, the CEO, you're trying to do all this yourself, you definitely can. Everything I teach here, you could technically do yourself. But if you want to scale your efforts and gain more time back in your business and in your life, and you want to maximize results, then you'll want to consider building a team at some point, okay? And your team a core team would look like this. You've got content creators, which is going to be you, potentially other people on the team. You've got video editors or post-production folks, right? They'll edit the raw clips and they'll add the graphics, the animations, the captions, whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't matter, long form or short form. And then you've got potentially a content manager or a social media manager that will go through, organize all the content, which we're going to talk about in a second. Schedule, post the content, write the copy potentially. They can do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Secondly, we need to build out a process that allows us to create as much high quality content in as little time as possible. And here's an example if you want to know what this looks like. You can steal this one, okay? So for us, strategy and planning is always at the top, obviously, right? Once you got that, and that's kind of what we've been talking about the last few minutes. Once you got that, you really can create content from 3 different places. Really, there's only 3, to be honest. Core places, I would say. Either live or virtual events. That could be keynotes. That could be virtual events that you're doing. It could be guest on a podcast, whatever it might be. Could be in-person conversations that you're having in your office, whatever it is. The second, it could be batch recording, meaning, and this is a great tactic you can do, that you'll sit down for, a half an hour and record 5 to 10 videos. And it's very efficient to do that, because if you come ready to go with the topics, you can bang out 5 to 10 videos, and boom, that could be 2 weeks worth of videos, right? So you do that every week, and you're gonna start stockpiling videos. The third thing would be some type of podcast, right, that you run every week or every other week. Once you get that raw video, you gotta do something with it, right? You can't just let it sit there. So you gotta get it in post-production. And that's where it's gonna come out, as either audio, video, visuals, and text. And again, I know I'm not going into the detail of the granular stuff of how you would do this, but think about this. This is strategy. It's not necessarily in the weeds tactical stuff. Even though we're talking about some of the tactical stuff, like batch recording is a little bit more of a tactic. But for the most part, this is strategy, okay? But at the end of the day, you're gonna take that raw content and you're gonna wanna get it into audio, video, visuals, text, combination of those 4. And then you've got to distribute the content. So having this all built out, and what you could do is you can organize a lot of it on a project management or a content management software tool such as Trello, Monday, ClickUp. There's a ton of different things. You technically could do it in just G Drive, just set up folders, right? And you basically want a raw video content folder. You want an in progress folder. You want, ready to review folder. You want any revisions that need made, and then you want kind of edited, ready to be posted, and then you want like a posted or scheduled and then archived. You definitely want to archive all of your content, okay? So this is what it would look like, right? Raw content comes in one side, ready to be posted content comes out of the other side. Folders here, raw videos in progress, ready for checking, revisions, edited videos ready to be posted, and then archived and scheduled. Number 4, track and optimize performance. So you've got to be able to put in place a system where you can track opportunities that are created because of your content. If you don't do that, then how are you going to know what your content's actually doing? Now, sure, you could get on a sales call and you can ask them, and hopefully you are. You're asking, how did you first discover us? If you don't already know the answer to that, that would be a good thing to do. But at minimum, you want your calendar booking link to have a mandatory question about how they first discovered you. And you want your salesperson asking that same question in detail on the first meeting. Or if that's you, you want to ask that question in detail on the meeting. Now, here's what I'd say. Don't give them options. Leave that question open-ended. So when you say, how did you first discover me? They may give you way more insights than if you just say LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, website. They may just select one, right? But if you leave it open-ended, they may say, I saw your video on LinkedIn, but then I've been listening to your podcast the last 2 months. Oh, that's great insights, right? So always leave that open-ended. It's just great. It's great insights, and it allows you to see what's working and what's not. And so I would think about this in the beginning of your content journey. If you're wondering, like, how do I know if my content's performing or not, or what's good or what's not, or when should I be expecting results? In the beginning of your content journey, we want to pay close attention to qualitative data and less on the quantitative data. So what I mean is, like, for example, when we started our podcast and our weekly live events a while back, I was looking at, what are people saying? Are people showing up? Are people listening? Sure. But what is the feedback in the comments that we're getting? And I got DMs, I got comments on my content. I got people showing up saying, this has been so impactful. Like, I haven't found information about what you're talking about anywhere else. Like, you answered my questions. I'm going to go and implement the strategy because of it. You just want to know that the content is resonating, and hopefully from your target audience, the decision makers, the influencers, the people that you're trying to impact with your content. You just want to know that they're saying good things about it. All right. That's step 1. If you do that, then all of the quantitative stuff, because that's telling you that the content is, quote, good, then that should, if you give it, enough time, the quantitative stuff should follow. Okay. So the first 30 days, 60 days, I'm looking heavy at qualitative. And then by 90 days, 120 days, I'm really looking to see those numbers kick up. And I'm really looking to start to see some leads start to generate and come inbound as a result of the content if we're doing it right. And then from here, it's all about studying what's working, what's not working, optimizing, right? We remix and recreate winning content. We create video series if it makes sense to do. We're just taking all of this insights that we're getting from our audience and responding to every comment, studying what people are saying, like really getting in the weeds. That is such a big component to content that I think people are like, oh, I'm going to create content and then just throw it out there and like put it on autopilot and never really be in there. And it's like, no, you need to be in there, especially early on, learning what is resonating, what is not. What questions are people asking in the content? And then what we can do from that is we take those questions. If we post 10 pieces of content or 20 videos, we can take those 20 videos and let's say we got a handful of 3 to 5, 6, 7 questions or comments that were leading us to believe we needed to create other content based off what they were saying and those insights. Then we use that to fuel the next 20 videos. So all the feedback and the audience insights, we need to keep that coming. And then we funnel that right back up to the top of the strategy, the vision and alignment, and we move down the strategy. That is the V4 video content strategy. If this was helpful, subscribe, like it, comment, let us know what you think. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you around.